Hey, Ideal Protein Nation. So great to be with you again for this episode. This is going to be a fun one, I got to tell you. I don't know what it is, but I keep going up to British Columbia, Canada. We're going to do that again today. For those of you who don't know about the Life Possible podcast, because we'll probably have some new viewers and listeners today, the Life Possible podcast actually spotlights successful clients, coaches, and clinic owners who have successfully transformed their life using the Ideal Protein protocol. They've reset their body, reset their mind, and reset what's actually possible for their lives. You know, these individuals have had such life-changing experiences that as a result, they're pursuing goals and dreams that they never thought they could. They're pursuing goals and dreams they thought were dead and gone. In fact, some of them are pursuing dreams and goals they never even knew they had. In short, they're living a life that they love so much that they don't feel the need to escape from it. A life they love so much that they can't even imagine going back to the way that it was before. Well, who am I and why am I doing this? My name is Dr. John Barnes. And I got to tell you, my personal story started about 5 years ago with that guy on the left-hand side there. And that guy was fat, sick, and depressed. There's no two ways about it. And, back then, I didn't see a way out. So for me, when the Ideal Protein program came along, I truly feel like it came along as the answer to a lot of my prayers, both personally and professionally. As a result, in 2015, I lost 45 pounds in 9 weeks on the protocol and started incorporating it into our clinic. Now, these days, 5 years later, I'm over 60 pounds down from that original weight, and I'm living a life that I feel healthy, vibrant, and alive. In fact, I've been able to return to the sport of triathlon after over 25 years of inactivity. So for me, that's actually my definition of life possible. So who do we have today? Well, we have a treat for you today. Today, our featured guest is Zan Romeder. Zan is coming to us live all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. She's an IP clinic owner of Vital Body Weight Loss Center in Burnaby, British Columbia, which is right there in Vancouver. But before she was a clinic owner, she lost over 50 pounds doing the Ideal Protein protocol back between 2010 and 2011. It was interesting because Zan saw the podcast through one of the feeds on Facebook. She'd been watching it, and she nominated our last guest, the incomparable George Watson, that we had so much fun with. And when I got on to meet George and to talk to him before the show, he said, "Oh my God, you've got to have Zan on. She's got a great story. She's so wonderful. You got to have her as your next guest." So George, here she is. Without any further ado, let's bring in Zan Romeder. How are you?
I'm super. Hello, everybody.
Excellent. So happy to have you on our show. Just curious, what's the weather like up there these days?
Right now it's sunny and we have 4 degrees with rain predicted for the next 12 days.
Oh, God. For those of us in the United States, can you translate 4 degrees?
Oh, yeah. Well, 0 is just when cold. It snows. So I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit.
There you go. Okay, so that'd be 32 for us. You're just a little bit colder than we are. So Zan, tell us your story. Tell us how did you come about learning about the Ideal Protein program in the first place?
Well, same as how you described it. It felt like my prayers were answered. I had probably focused on weight loss for a good 12 years, doing all the right things. Gotcha. I could run 5K. I could do yoga every day. I did, a number of programs at the gym. Anyways, just nothing was, I would always feel stronger for sure. Exercise always makes you feel good and stronger, yep. But there was 0.000% change in my body fat or my body composition. Gotcha. And super frustrated. But, my workarounds were, avoid summer vacations, buy lots of clothes so I could feel better. And, I had I was sort of starting to get used to going, okay, maybe it's another, if there is another lifetime, it'll be then that I might have another shot at a healthy body.
You know,
And
I do want to stop you right there. That's one of
yeah,
the things that you and I had talked about, that I hadn't even put in our show outline, but your workarounds. I do want to delve into that a little bit if we could. So many people are living that life. So, and you know, again, I was the guy by the time I had gotten to that point that was always in the back row of any pictures, right?
yeah.
You know, again, if you just kind of share the limitations you were imposing on yourself and truly
Well,
kind of
capitalism loves this issue, right? Like
right,
you end up needing stuff. And I always wondered, I'm like, I am a happy person. Why do I need so much stuff? But you know, at that time, thank goodness for Winners. I don't know if you guys have those stores down there, but sort of like
no,
cheap clothing, right? And you can
yeah,
just at least get a new wardrobe for $100.
yeah,
It's
right,
just, it was certain ways. Spending money on clothes was a big one. And then just whatever showed up, you know, I'd spend $60 on some bottle that said fat burning, even though I was like, oh, come on, it's just caffeine and bad stuff for my body. But what if it works? So again, in that crowd of looking for perhaps a quick fix without calling it that.
yeah,
And then, you know, I thought maybe, okay, well, maybe I need a new mattress because my lower back is sore. Well, maybe I need the $2,000 mattress or 5,000. You know, it was just,
right,
I like being comfortable. I like feeling good. Makeup, hair,
yeah.
and then yes,
And the whole vacation thing, it broke my heart when you said that you literally would try your best to make sure you were taking vacations or just skipping vacations.
yeah, just yeah. I would almost even I would think I'd say I don't like swimming when I love the water.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, and you know, we are blessed in North America. You know, you can still do a lot of good things, but it's not until you feel good that you realize how much energy you were spending to avoid feeling bad and trying to feel
yeah,
good in different ways. And then sugar. I mean, you know, going out for treats. It was like, well, if I can't have the body I want, I might as well have as much cake as I want.
right.
Um, the logic seemed pristine to me at the time.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's expensive, you know, and people ask about the protocol, and I hate to convince people per se to do it,
yep,
but I also want to put it out straight. You go, okay, you need $500 a month. Well, I hear it that you don't necessarily have 500 a month, but it is most of it is your food and good supplements, and then depending what you're no longer spending on, you could be saving hugely. But that sounds like such a sales pitch, right? But
right,
it's like
right.
I saved a ton of money doing it.
Except for that good problem now where, well, I guess a lot of people I call it going shopping in your closet, where you can
Free
start
shopping.
going down to clothes that you haven't worn in years, right?
Yeah.
But then comes that day where you got to buy the new stuff again.
But and I find that so funny when we talk to people about the program. I say, just for the record, you know, you need money for vegetables and your own protein, but once a day, but you will need potentially significant amount of money for new clothes. Oh, don't worry about that. They don't care about that. But then the other man, but that's all good. But yeah, we always put that in because it's true.
That
You know,
is
baggy
hilarious.
clothes is fun for a bit, and then it looks really bad, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then people were like, "Doc, you really got to get some new pants."
Yeah.
You know, give me a little bit of time. I'm still making sure it's going to stick, right?
That too. I had a blog post of when to give your clothes away. But you know, back to how I discovered Ideal Protein.
Yeah.
You know, I was traveling. My parents are both from Paris, and we would go back to France, and we went for a good 6 weeks. And I became very uncomfortable there. I was, you know, I couldn't shop for anything. There was I didn't fit anything. And you know, in terms
Mm,
of sizes, I was 14, 16. So I know not in North America, considered average actually from when I
right.
looked around.
Yep.
But over there, nothing fit. And I could just, and I could tell I was like, my eyes were always on when are we going to be near a next bakery? And I was like, I don't eat like the French. I'm obsessed. Like this is, like Dr. Tran, who designed Ideal Protein. He's like,
Yeah.
whoa, the North Americans took the protocol in a whole different direction, right? But yeah, so then I came back from there and I thought, I hate how much energy I have to spend in the morning to get braced, ready for a good day. I was like, don't people, I know I have had that feeling. You should just, you can wake up, you can grab anything from the closet because it all looks good. And you could just get up and go. And I was so far removed from that. And a friend of mine called me, and I think that's when you hear it. She mentioned Ideal Protein. I must say, I researched it for a long time. I was very cynical. I was like, no fruit, no packaged food. This thing sounds so unbalanced. And then someone kind of shook me and was like, it is unbalanced. It's supposed to be unbalanced.
Right. And we had that conversation. We were talking about how you kind of prided yourself on the way that you would cook and eating whole foods and thinking that you were in fact eating healthy. And that surprises a lot of people when they understand what, they're just doing what they've been taught, how they've been brought up, what is a healthy quote unquote diet. And we find ourselves in the situation when it wasn't supposed to happen. We're not supposed to be there.
Yeah. And California, that whole West Coast, there's a lot, organic food. It's pretty, there's a whole healthy scene for sure. But yeah, when I dug down and started learning about insulin and sugar, there was a lot of sugars in my diet, be it applesauce, muffin dates, dates with, dates, dried fruit. But we cooked every meal homemade. Everything was made from scratch. My daughter had never been to a McDonald's.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
For sure there was a foundation of health, but there was no capacity in my body to lose any weight without seriously addressing the pancreas and the insulin response. And any changes I made, even removing ketchup. I love ketchup. It was never going to be sufficient.
Correct. Yep. And so we talked about that, right? So, if I just eat a balanced diet, right? And if I eat a balanced diet and exercise, the weight should come off. And that whole concept of a balanced diet, it doesn't make any sense. If you eat a balanced diet, what is that meant to do? It's meant to actually maintain or balance where you are now, right? And so it takes a very unbalanced approach if you need to lose a significant amount of weight. And
Absolutely.
That was a breakthrough in thought for you, right?
And exercise was just making me so hungry. And then I would fight myself. I thought, I can't live like that either. I was willing. And that's what I find so heartbreaking about some of the clients when they call, or clients that call in to find out more. They're working so hard. They're willing. There is energy to make the change.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, thankfully, the muscle you have just built by doing boot camp every day at 5 a.m. for the last 2 years, we're going to keep that muscle and we're
going to put it to use.
There's going to be not all my clients, but if you already have it, you can have toned arms and a 6-pack at the end of this program. If you don't have it, I can't get it for you. But if you've already earned it, it'll show up. And those people, I'm jealous of those people. I was not that way. It's gorgeous. It's phenomenal, right? And,
that's amazing. Yeah, it is. It is so amazing. But like you said, so frustrating. And those, like you said, the will is there, the motivation is there, but the things that I always ask people, well, how's that plan going? Oh, doc, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. And, another thing I struggled with is I, definitely trained on listen to your body and, flow with that. But the problem, when you were describing yourself as fat, depressed, and
fat, sick, and depressed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the like attracts like. So when you're in those situations, you want more of those denser, less good foods, you could say, for you. And it's very hard when you're feeling like that to eat a carrot. It's just the energies are opposite almost. You're like, no, I want double, triple layered icing chocolate something, right?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it does give you some comfort.
Yes,
I
it
know
does.
it's short term, but we do have to address it's I heard this thing a while ago, and the woman said, instead of making yourself feel like crap for eating those foods, couldn't you just thank them for being there and helping you get through whatever you needed to get through? And in that moment, you might start finding your way coming out of that with some changes, or you might come
Mhm,
across Ideal Protein or the right clinic or the right coach for you.
mhm.
But I struggle. It's like, why do I crave all these foods? I mean, part of it was sugar addiction, but another part
Yeah.
was as you get heavier and denser, those foods are the match for that body type. And you really need sort of a project interruption
Mhm,
to get yourself
mhm.
out of that and and that's where the program, the accountability, the check-ins can really flip the switch for you and have that support. And that was what it was for me. I remember driving to the clinic going, I can't believe I'm going to buy packaged food. It was
Yeah,
killing me.
right?
I can't believe I'm giving $550 for this food.
Yep.
I took a video, came home. It was the blueberry pomegranate drink at the time. There was only like 12 products at the time. And I had it. My expectations were so low
Yep.
that I found the food was extraordinary. It was very good. And, I vowed, okay, eat this food for the 6 months of your program. And then we'll
Mhm,
be right back to your whole foods, which of
mhm.
course I thought I'd be right back to how I ate before, which isn't right. But I still use the Ideal Protein chocolate drink, the wafer for a treat. I must admit, and I'm
Absolutely.
vegetarian, and there's gelatin in the wafers, but I just ignore that.
Absolutely. No, again, to me, and I always kind of bill it as just an incredible tool, especially for people that come in sugar addicted, like I was. If the triple chocolate wafer or now the salted caramel clusters are your treat, it's the snack that won't bite back.
Yeah.
Truly, it's not going to get you in trouble. And that's kind of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation with clients and myself. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, are you using this as a crutch or as a tool? Does it feel right how you're using them? And I said, we'll have times where we're using it as a crutch. I've had 2 peanut butter baked bars since they've come out in a day. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy. And it's like, no, Zan, you got to get in the kitchen and, make a better salad with blue cheese and olives on it, or, whatever pastry recipe I've got. I got to, but yeah, it's so great. It's such an incredible tool. And I know it's been used as a crutch, and it's kind of that balance of, and that's part of the transformation is telling the truth and finding new solutions.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So the weight started to come off.
Oh gosh, 2 pounds a week, religious. I couldn't believe it. But I
Yeah.
couldn't stand, I must say, the way the clinic ran I was a demanding client.
I
I was
can't
one of those
imagine
people emailing, why isn't there edamame beans on the phase 1 sheet? And
that.
she wouldn't respond, and it just drove me nuts because I was asking about all these health, like, why aren't carrots on there? And
Right, right, right.
clearly the science hadn't sunk in yet.
Carbs, lady, carbs.
Yeah. So finally, I was like, I could run a way better clinic than this person. And I just called the guy, and I'm like, how do you open these? And he walked me through it, and
Uh-huh.
the rest, that was it. I really only
I was
wanted it
gonna
for one
say,
or
we'll
two of my
say,
friends, but here we are.
yeah, the rest is history. So yeah, you said that you had like 2 friends that kind of started, and from there it just grew like wildfire.
It did. Louise was our first client. She's such a doll. She trusted us. We're so much better at what we do now. We would be coaching, and in the middle of the coaching, I'd call the person training me. She says she said she didn't lose any weight, and they're like, not possible. What did she have? And I'd have them
Right,
on
right, right.
phone. Anyways, just got trained on the fly, and they're like, it was,
Well,
and she went through that, but she loved it. We were honest, open. I said, look, I
authentic.
know this is a reliable, scientific, 100% guaranteed program. I'm just not, I need to get the answers for you.
Well,
And
this is what year? How this is 2011, 2012?
2011, 2021 is
Yeah.
our 10-year anniversary. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Yeah, I've heard some fun stories just like that, back in the day when everything was just getting started. And but I can see that happening too. I would pick up the phone, call Dolores after a client and just say, hey, what about this, and this? And she'd say, John, calm down. It's predictable, it's repeatable, it's measurable. And if the weight loss was not what you wanted, then it's constipation, menstruation, or deviation. Let's figure
Yeah.
this out.
Yeah. I
She
know.
was
It
so
was
patient
so,
with
I mean,
me.
I train a lot of my coaches, and you really need your own clients to see that. I mean,
You do.
but we just did word of mouth. Yeah, we went from 2 to 100 clients so quickly, and
Yeah.
we've had a dip with last year where many people are doing keto on their own, but we're seeing them all come back. I asked the clients, where were you or what were you doing? Do it yourself keto, and it's great. They learn what they learn from that.
Yep. And they
And
learn the difference in the value, right?
yeah,
I always tell people everybody loses weight those first couple weeks in keto, no matter which way you're doing it. But then after that, that's where Ideal Protein is predictable, repeatable, and consistent weight loss. Whereas your do-it-yourselfers, they generally just get stuck.
well, yeah, and I mean, people come to Ideal Protein and they say, "Oh, well, don't I know myself? I plateau." I'm like, you can't plateau here. Here's why. Here's the science.
Yeah.
And that is, a lot of clients have done a lot of dieting. I had not done any. I had done health changes, but
Right.
and I'd spent a lot of money on videotapes, VHS tapes, exercise stuff and machines,
Right.
but not dieting for some reason. I guess I was just always stuck on eating healthy, which I already did. So I hadn't gone down that route. Yes.
We got to do the air quotes on that because it's what we were taught was healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Low fat, eat the healthy carbs, lots of healthy carbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, too, I want to highlight your clinic because the evolution of your clinic, it grew, it was very successful, and it looks amazing to me. And then this year, when COVID hit, we all had to scramble and try to figure things out. And some clinics were very, very challenged and had a very hard time. You were able to transition to virtual pretty quickly. And as I understand it, you've been virtual this whole time.
Yeah, March 17th, we moved 120 clients over to online situations, and the
Wow.
coaches, there they are in that little picture. There's our Zoom meeting, their staff meeting.
Love it.
I know the heart of Ideal Protein is the one-on-one, the connection. But we practiced. We looked at eye contact on Zoom. We looked at, what are the different ways to feel really connected with your client. And in a way,
amazing.
because the client was weighing themselves first and doing their inches, you had an extra 5 minutes in that 15-minute appointment to really connect and do more than the procedures. And we sure miss the camaraderie for sure of the clinic, and the clients interacting with each other in the waiting area.
Yeah, right.
But of all all our clients, of all the Zoom situations, no one's a big fan of 4-hour Zoom meetings, but 15 minutes instead of driving 45. Vancouver's a big city.
Yeah.
Well, for us, it's a big city, but it could be 45-minute drive.
Yep.
To get for a 15-minute appointment. Yeah. And, those who don't know that we used to have a clinic, the newer clients, they just think that's what you do. You pick your products online, all the tools. And we've done Zoom events for the clients, and everything's it's attended better. So I think we have I know Ideal Protein was concerned that we lose some of that essence.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? In today's world, and I hate using the term new normal, but in this normal, right? In this normal, I just think that you've knocked it out of the park, and it's amazing. You haven't left any, no dieter behind. You're able to scramble those logistics, and it's truly just a testament to how awesome your clinic is.
Oh, we love our little space. It's a shipping station now, and our
I
office
know, right?
loves it. When I call in, I hear the music blasting, putting orders together, and just having a
Right?
great grand old time.
Yeah, we did that for a couple months. It was just me and one of my assistants, and like you said, it was we would get the shipment in, we would parcel it out. Some people would do drive-by curbside pickup. I had college kids. We were delivering. My college kids had nothing to do. And then God
Love
bless
it.
Ideal Protein. They came up with the drop ship for
Yeah,
those people that were further away. So yeah, it's been an adventure, but God, it just sounds like you guys really you knocked it out of the park. So good for you.
thank you. Yeah.
Good for you. Um, so moving right along, because we do have a lot to cover. Next up, what did I want to talk about? Next up, we want to say, oh, yeah, you had your own podcast for a little while too. That was another reason why I really wanted to talk to you. It was called Meebo Musings, right?
Yes.
And what's the origin of the name in the first place?
Well, it Mybo, Mebo, depends what you
Oh, yeah.
see.
I'm American. Sorry.
It's
I
okay.
apologize.
It was a take on mind and body and musings. It was at one point I called it Beyond Phase One, but then it was too connected to Ideal Protein. But it was really,
Mhm.
it's food. It should be so simple. Eat this, move on. But most people, there's emotional history, connections, there's body traumas, all sorts of things, a lot of negative self-talk over the years. There's just so much going on holistically around weight loss. I
Mhm.
did feel that we needed a platform to explore going beyond the phase one sheet. The protocol is so damn reliable. That's a done deal. So you now have a nutritional solution, you have a coach, but just giving people space, maybe counseling or some body movement therapy would be useful for you, or how to, is your head and heart really aligned, or are you still struggling with your food choices? So yeah, that's what I was exploring. But
I love that. I love that concept though, that it was mind body. And again, you've got to reset both, right?
yeah.
And that's what you were going for. The other thing too, in talking to George and in talking with you, I know that you had an extensive background before Ideal Protein in transformational coaching. And
Hmm.
so, I'm sure that serves you well, and that's what gives you that understanding that it's not just about the food.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of that rigorous or ruthless compassion sometimes
Yeah.
of, and for me as a coach, that's been probably my biggest challenge is, what am I dealing with? What's in my way to meet the client where they're at? And,
Mm,
clients are in all these different stages of readiness. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, this person, they're just so not set up for keeping themselves as a priority. Everything's being displaced. They'll take care of everyone but themselves. And
right.
I had thought, I do blog posts and this and that and tools. And I started buying books at the clinic. And then I just started going, what can I do for the client? And what should I not be doing for the client? And what can I not do for the client?
Right.
Um,
It's really hard lines to draw,
isn't
right?
it? Yeah.
And we talked about it too, right? That person comes in and maybe they're not all the way there and they're saying, "Oh, sure, I'd like to use 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds." And we have the ability to look at them through our eyes and see what's possible, right?
Yeah.
And we immediately want it for them when they walk right through that door. And like you said, it is a challenge sometimes for us to meet people where they are, and we've got to figure out how to rein ourselves in.
Yeah. Well, and it's, there's a letting, I know Dr. Trine calls it a sacrifice. Like there's a letting go of something for something new to arise.
Hmm.
And when you're in that middle place where you're letting go but it's still what you kind of need, but you haven't gotten the new goodie yet. And I just have a lot of compassion for that place. And
Because we've been
there's
there.
a great diagram there of success looks like, this, I have people do a perfect linear journey.
Right.
And it's dynamic, and the best learnings are your own learnings. So yeah, it's kind of, how do I grant space? But then, no, you can't have chocolate on phase 1. So it's like, if you really need that and you can't find your way out of that, we need to go to phase 2, and we'll give you the tools for that. But I don't have a program for eat whatever you want, go crazy, back on phase 1. I know some clients do that. It's not what they intend to do. So partly, yeah, I always like to give space and explore what else is going on, especially when you're struggling on phase 1.
Yeah.
That's pointing that you should look beyond the food, right?
Mhm.
It's got to
Yep.
be something else, because especially someone who's a returning client, they're returning because they know phase 1 works, but now they're struggling on phase 1. So now that's kind of the gift. What should I look at? You got to take my head out of the food scenario, and I think, look at, how's my life structured? I mean, if you hate your husband, no matter what weight you are, you're still going to want to eat food to survive your relationship, right? Like,
Yep.
the weight doesn't fix the relationships per se. So, and I've seen that, people struggling and then hoping that it's kind of like winning the lottery. People think it would fix everything.
Right.
I've had beautiful dieters lose 80, 90 pounds and then say, I'm still lonely. Nothing, that hasn't changed. I've got more energy. I can meet life in a new way, but I'm still lonely, or whatever they're dealing with. So
yeah, and yes. Let's just say yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to kind of go with that one. Yes, unfortunately, like I said, food doesn't fix life situations, and unless they fix that life situation, it's going to be
it
an
makes
issue.
you resilient, gives you more power, I think, to think creatively, to think outside the box, to flow with the crises. I was saying to you, when I look back at all the people who perhaps stopped the program or without transitioning by design, a stressor showed up in their life, and they still didn't have the foundation to handle those stressors without turning to food. And that's our role as a coach, to be proactive, but those are things a person has to do daily to give themselves more foundation. You can't do it in 15-minute check-in appointment. And that was like, I wish I could support you more, but that's the design of this protocol. So
So we've kind of gone in a negative direction with the sad side of things. I want to totally reverse gears, because I realized that I forgot to bring up a part of your story that I find absolutely fascinating. And I do not want to do the show without bringing this part up. Tell us about your surprise pregnancy and these beautiful girls that you sent me a picture of, your daughters.
Yeah. Well, talk about being resilient. I think on the Ideal Protein Protocol, I think like we're saying, you have to examine your life and look. And I was in my 40s, and I was so damn healthy.
Yeah, right. Healthy, vibrant, and alive.
Got pregnant without trying. Well, I don't know. We won't go there, but
I've managed to keep the show PG-13 till now.
That's right. But
no, amazing.
It was fabulous. I mean, I looked younger by the minute. It definitely was an amazing experience to start a pregnancy so healthy. And I must say, my business partner at the time, when I found out, because this was really not the plan, Sophia was 16. We were preparing for what shall we do in 4 years when she's gone. We were creating your kids leave, but we were really in the conversations of what are we going to do now.
Yeah.
And I said to my business partner, oh my gosh, I'm not gaining a pound on this pregnancy. And she looked at me and she's like, I don't know what to say. I think you usually do gain weight on a pregnancy. But she knew I was like, really happy in my body. So that was an interesting one, because it is a takeover, right? When you get pregnant.
Yeah.
But
again,
I was so
thank God the ladies do it, because if it was up to us men, forget it. our species would have died out a long time ago. So
Yeah,
thank you.
well, that's why I only had one. I was like, I'm never doing that again. And people say you forget. And I was like, no way, I did not forget. So yeah, and I just, I knew I had that baby at home on my own terms.
Well, like you said, it was a different experience because you were so healthy.
Yeah.
Right? And strong.
Totally. And the medical people kind of feel like if you're in your 40s pregnant, you have a disease. And I just didn't like the way it was, actually I only went once, and I'll go to the doctor, of course, if needed, or if something doesn't feel right. But yeah, so my life began anew, and here we are with.
And so they're 16 years apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the other part of it is too, right? When you're 40 years old, they expect you to have at least one metabolic condition, right? They expect you, by the time people are in that stage of life, they generally at least have high blood pressure, if not borderline diabetes, if not obesity, if not what have you. I think that as we're seeing a lot of people that have taken control of their life, they understand their metabolism, and they're living, like, again, these really, really healthy lives. We had talked about Mark Sisson and people like that. I think a lot of the medical standards are going to have to be re-looked at. And the things that we're generally over concerned about, I think it just, you've got to look at it from different eyes. If you've got a 40-year-old woman who is in just incredible health, you have to think that, wow, you know what, maybe this might go a lot easier than most pregnancies late in life.
It is, yeah. And I think a lot of, clients on the protocol, when they, like George, when he went to his doctor, that they were crying. Like, it's just, the doctor's never seen this. It's what I find when I go to trainings of Ideal Protein, where there's a lot of physicians or medical people. Sometimes the conversation is too technical for me, just because that's not my background. But the enthusiasm for these blood panels and
right, you're kind of like,
and
it's amazing
words that I don't know, but I think you can see even them, they're surprised, because you've got your stats, your standards, and now it's like it's the reversal, and just it's so exciting to really truly, like, Ideal Protein's promoting food as medicine. Which I think is part of the struggle when people have, that there is a shift where you go, okay, can I really relate as food as fueling my body, food as a medicine for me? And that shift has you see your fridge, see your actions in a whole new way. And I don't think it happens overnight, but it happens where.
And it might not even happen while you're in phase one.
Yeah.
It may take one or two times when you're in maintenance to kind of go back and test a little bit, and then come back and test a little bit, and then finally say, yeah, you know what? No, I've got a totally different view of food, and this is how I use it. Yeah.
And especially with the new phase 2 and 3 since January 2020, teaching clients to trust fats and picking out those. I just love phase 2, picking out those.
I know, right?
What do you want, pistachio nuts or pesto? What do you want? It's like, it's a buffet. And I know, especially if you were in your 20s or 30s in the 80s during low fat, it's challenging. But
yeah, right. They're like, what are you talking about? I can't have that.
It's, your body's been using your thighs for energy, and now it's time to use pistachios. Like, it's good. It's good news.
Well, and it's so funny, because before, when people, well, Doc, what's phase 2 look like? And I would be like, well, there's nothing really sexy about it. We're gonna take out that lunch Ideal Protein food and give you some protein for a couple weeks, and they're like, really? But now it's kind of like, oh, we're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
The fun happens in that second week of phase 2. And it really is. It's just a great, I love the new system.
I love coaching it. I don't think, like I say to clients, I say, I'm so excited about it, but believe me, there's no miracle pill. Ideal Protein is not about pills. You need, I was like, you need to study this. You need to pretend you're a student again. And
yep.
I'm like, I'm good at this, and it takes me an hour to meal plan each week. So,
yep. And journaling becomes more important during phase 2, especially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
invest in yourself. Yeah.
So, it's neat. And that brings me to our next point. We were comparing coaching notes and kind of situations that we see commonly, things we have to coach our clients through. And, one of the biggest, most common topics that comes up is that last 10 pounds and what that tends to do to our clients, their mindset when they get there, the paths that they decide to try to take. What is it about those last 10 pounds?
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is where, I was after our conversation, I was like, it's like, this is a beautiful part for the coach, because some really good questions can support the client to really see things newly in that phase. Some just are, you got the easy ones. They're like, I'm not messing with this till I reach my goal, but you feel pretty good 10 pounds before that goal. And when I think as coaches, we're like, it never works out that well to stop 10 pounds early, but 10 pounds for a woman could still be 5 weeks, 6 weeks on program.
Right.
That's not say, hey, 2 more days, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's a commitment, but it just seems like people get there and they're kind of one of two mindsets. If they say, they come in and they say, you know what, Zan, I think I'm going to, well, one of them says, I think I'm going to take a different approach. And the other ones, they just seem to stop there. Like they hit a wall. They sabotage themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know we're going to talk about this the happiness scale, but some of the questions I ask people are like, well, what are you thinking is going to happen? Like, why stop now? Because yes, you can eat some pistachios and olives, but it's not, where the veggies stay the same, the water, no skipping meals, there's no sugar or alcohol in phase 2. And so really finding out, what are they fantasizing about, thinking about, what is it? And get that on the table rather than perhaps secretly thinking about it or hoping. So then they can go, oh, I can wait for that. And then there's that, the conversation you had with me about your scale. I think I used it today with a client, and I could see her, because I always look when I'm coaching, am I talking at someone or is it landing on them? Like, are they taking it in? And I shared it with her, and you could just see her posture go up and own what she wanted. So you should display what conversation, but it's I was looking for a physical experience. Otherwise it's just blah 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 at someone, right?
I was gonna say, so that glazed look that I always get means I'm talking at them. Yeah, my clients are going to start chiming in on the feed for that too. So yeah, but there's also those people that are scared to death to move forward to the next phase, right? And so, they come in and like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we haven't lost any weight. No, I swear I haven't done anything. Or, oh, I just had one bite of something. And after a couple weeks, you're like, okay, there's something going on here, right?
Yeah. You can't be constipated for 3 weeks or have your period for that long. You can only.
I was like, yeah, wait, didn't we do that a couple weeks ago? I wrote it in your chart, right? And so there, you have to get them to acknowledge that they're scared to death to move on to the next one. And before I used to be kind of like, yeah, well, we'll get you there, don't worry. But now with this new system, it's just kind of like, oh, come on, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. You don't have to worry. We're gonna figure this out for you. Let's forage on instead of just living in perpetual phase 1.25.
Yeah, well, and the confidence I think we have in phase 2 as it's building. I start phase 2. I know it's a 45-minute training technically for the client and the coach, but I'll do it over a month, long before they're ready, depending. If they really need to stay in that phase 1 focus, I won't do that. But my first step is just, can you touch this blue folder for me? This has the answers in here. And that's our first step.
Yeah.
And then the next step is, let's look at these macros. Let's look at the food journal. Look at these crazy new questions, cravings, hunger, sleep, activity.
Yeah.
And I do.
That's great.
15-minute appointment. I add a 5-minute piece so that they start being responsible and can feel that we've got their back with that. And I think that's helping. I mean, this is the first year of it, so I don't have, it's a bit of trial and error right now, but I could see people almost like a relief, like, huh,
Mhm.
okay. And then when
That's
I
great.
mention phase 2 and they don't want to go on it yet, they start doing phase 1 by design. If they've had those little stop
Mhm.
measuring oil or a bite of avocado or this or that, it gets
Yeah.
tidy because they know I'm like, there's no point lowering your metabolism and maintaining on phase 1. That's not healthy. So either
Right.
phase 2 or else, and then all of a sudden they're losing 2 pounds a week again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's that other crowd, right? The other crowd says, hey, Zen, I'm pretty comfortable where I am right now. I know I still have 10 pounds to go, but I'm just, I got to get back to the gym, right? So I'm just going to, I'll exercise the last 10 pounds off. How's that going to go?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, again, so much compassion. That's such old thinking to me,
Yep.
like dieter thinking or old thinking. But yeah, if you want to go to the gym, then phase 2, but I'm coaching maintenance. You should not be losing weight this way unless you want to lose muscle or starve yourself. I get pretty straight about that because it's very hard to coach. It creates a real contrast in the coaching. They're doing one thing, thinking one thing. I'm trying to do
Mhm.
something else, and it's just useless, really.
Yeah, it is. And it's again, my undergraduate degree is in exercise physiology, and I've
Mm.
got a couple personal training, and I show them that. I say, look, I got a degree in it. I've got 2 certifications, and I'm telling you, right? I'm trying to tell you that we lose weight in the kitchen and we get fit in the gym, and those are 2 separate items. I understand that you want to get fit. I understand you're dying to get back to the gym. Let's get those last 10 pounds off, and it's going to be even that much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I know people, I don't have that. I don't need the runner's high, but there's not a lot of places you can get that same feeling.
Mhm.
And I know they know their joints and everything's going to feel amazing, but how, comfortable is one place, reaching your goal. And I think most people, when they came, they had maybe a secret promise to themselves, like, I'm doing this, you're forking out the money. And it's kind of like you're backing down on your own promise, which really erodes
Mm.
your power because you said X and now you're doing Y.
Mhm.
It's not
It
quite the
erodes your
opposite, like,
integrity.
but you're losing power there. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, like George would say, it erodes your integrity.
Yeah. And it can sound heavy, but it's just, when you break, and I think people have done that. I hear that from clients. They're like, I started phase 1 and then they make it to noon and then they eat whatever. And that pattern is very difficult if you do it from a psychology, diet, or mentality perspective. You're eroding your connection to self, your power to your word to yourself. So then when you say something, you don't trust yourself anymore to follow
Mm.
through on that. And you most people, if you say, hey John, I'll meet you for lunch, I would show up, but we'll do it to ourselves, which really makes no sense because
Right.
don't not believing yourself, it just creates such a swirl and it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It is a concept that you and I talked about ahead of time. That you'll honor commitments to other people, but
Yeah.
you don't honor commitments to yourself.
Exactly. And the last 10 pounds, I know we're focusing on the scale, but it's much more than that. It's the
Mhm.
freedom, it's the reaching the goal, it's the picture you had, it's the why, it's the vision,
Yep. And
it's the
yeah,
full meal deal.
and so that's why I've been working on this model, and so we're gonna you conned me into testing it out
I
on
love
our
this model.
listeners.
Love it.
So what I like to I call it the stages of happiness of an ideal protein journey. And again, I coach and I do all these things primarily from my own experience first, because that's the best way to coach your clients, right? So again, generally people will come in and they'll say, hey doc, you know, I really feel comfortable where I am now. I know I've got 10 more pounds to go, but let's stop here. Let's move on, right? And I'll say, okay, well, I hear what you're saying, but don't you want to hit that goal? Don't you want to get all the way to happy? Right? Happy is that at that goal. No, no, it's okay. This will be fine. Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks, or this is coming
Oh
up, or
yeah.
whatever. I think I'll be good here. Right? Have you heard that before?
Well, and comfortable in their world is so much better than where they were at.
Oh, 100%. Right?
I know. So it's borderline happy for them, but they're
Hmm.
missing, and they know it when they're saying it. I can tell. They're selling out almost. But again, like you said, I hear what you're saying. You gotta roll with it, right?
Yeah, well, and I always do after we get a certain point in the conversation. I know that I'm not gonna change their mind. I usually say, well, again, we do not want to lose perspective. Oh my God, you're right. You're down 70 pounds.
Yeah.
This is an incredible feat, and we're going to celebrate every single pound of that. Okay, let's move forward and let's move on. Right. But the thing that people don't understand is that again, you get out into maintenance and we get to the holidays. The normal ideal protein cycle, the normal ideal protein maintenance life is generally we're going to end up doing a tune-up once or twice a year.
Yep.
And the way I look at that is, sometimes it is based on the scale, and sometimes it's just based on how yucky you might feel, and you just need to clean up your metabolism. You just need to
Yeah.
clean
Beautiful.
that insides, right? Especially that tune-up after the holidays in January. Um, so the thing about that is if you pull up at comfortable, by the time it's time to do that tune-up after the holidays or after your week's vacation, you're going to walk in because you've reached uncomfortable again, right? And that's the place where those cool new clothes you bought don't fit. Like, yeah, doc, I bought these clothes and I can't fit in them. So I'm really kind of feeling uncomfortable. And I think that I need to do, I need to do a tune up. Does that resonate with you?
Totally. And with the design of having a trigger weight, when you're at comfortable, you're so close to trigger weight
Right.
technically that then you're stressed when eating, and that's not the point. You should be relaxed. Digestion doesn't work very well when stressed, and what you think, I really believe it impacts significantly how you maintain. So
Mhm.
being too close to comfortable, uncomfortable, it creates some problems. It creates problems.
Yeah. Oh no. And I love that insight. And I love that we're doing this together because I haven't really talked it through with a lot of other IP coaches. Um, yeah, that's a huge point, right? When uncomfortable is just that far away, or your trigger weight is just that far away, you don't have the freedom that you're supposed to have.
Well, and I had it. A client told me, I said, "What happened to your veggies?" She said, "Well, there's carbs in veggies." I'm like, "We've never talked about that." So you're going to starve yourself of beautiful vegetables, fiber, and nutrients, probably eat a muffin at midnight when you're starving, and in the name of carbs. It makes no sense. I totally get it, especially, these apps that count every little nano
Right.
macro. But anyways, yes, it can go back to sort of illogical thinking about food and not trusting food. I mean, to me, the body
That's
is
it.
meant to be well.
Hmm.
I think every cell is designed to be well, and you just need to give it back its normal sort of foundation um, to allow for that. So hence why those last 10 pounds. And I personally, in my clinic, I've never had anyone want to be too skinny. First I was worried about
Right.
that when I was coaching. Oh gosh, what if someone wants to be anorexic or won't stop?
Right.
We've only had people who want to be healthy. They want to participate in life fully. That's all we've ever seen.
Yeah.
For sure, we've had people with food issues or history of that, but that last 10 pounds, we're not talking about getting too skinny. What we're literally
Nope.
talking about a personal goal, a feeling where that's really the right weight for you. Like that's what we're talking about. And
Yeah.
that takes you to happy or above.
Right. So, that's the thing, right? So if we pull up at comfortable, then if we backslide at all, et cetera, then we're living our life between comfortable and uncomfortable, and it's not the best place to be. If we go that extra mile, we go those last 10 pounds. Dean Kilby, in his episode, he said, truly, those last 10 pounds are the difference between weight loss and transformation. And I found that so powerful when he said that. But it's true, right? I mean, we see that. And so when a client reaches happy and they've got enough room, they're going to live life between happy and comfortable, right? If they backslide at all, they're like, yeah, I'm comfortable, but I know I can be better. And it's great. So it's January. Let's do that yearly clear out of the toxins, and and we'll go back to happy, right? So, if you're living that uncomfortable zone, unfortunately, also life is always coming at us, right? And also, to me, you're just one life crisis away from miserable, right?
Yeah, and that's so common where, if you're uncomfortable and then something hits you, and then it's like that giving up feeling. And I think we've all had it, like going, oh, and that the problem is, if you've already had a weight issue, it's probably food that you turn to. There are people that don't turn to food, but that's that, there's other things to turn to.
Yep. It's built into a lot of us.
Alcohol or spending money. There's other addictions, but I know it's, and I've had coaching moments where they're sliding to that, and it's tricky.
Yeah. And
it pulls you down, and then the foods you want there are not the greatest foods for you. Usually you feed into that.
Well, and answer me this too. And I just truly came to this while we were talking. What I hate is when I bump into a client, an old client that I haven't seen in forever, and they've reached this miserable stage again, and it breaks your heart. That there's reasons, there's things going on in their life that led them back to that place, but they're too embarrassed. Doc, I was too embarrassed to pick up the phone. No. Okay, you should never feel that way. We understand. We've been through it. We've been through it personally. Most of us. We've seen it with other clients, and I'd never want anybody to slide so far that they feel like I could never pick up the phone and call the clinic and get back in IP because I'm too embarrassed.
Yeah. It's a catch-22. I mean, we always tell clients, we don't expect perfection. The door's always open. But I think there's two things going on there. There's embarrassment, and then there's an unwillingness to let go of whatever is getting you through the misery. Because if you make that call, you do have to let go of what you're using to cope. And I think that's not always clearly spoken. Are you ready to let go of that? And they have to, and I think languaging it like this and having this visual, for some clients, that visual is really great. They're like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Especially when you're in a good state. If you're at comfortable,
right,
it's easy to look at this graphic, which is a great time to be looking at it going, okay, where do I want to be on this spectrum?
Yeah. So instead of living between comfortable and uncomfortable, living between happy and comfortable is fantastic. But what I've found in myself, and what I've found I can't say that I haven't reached this top level yet, but this is my goal for 2021. I do have some clients that have, though. And it was funny because I was trying to figure out, what do I label this top point? I had a client actually label it for me. It was fantastic. She said, she just blurted it straight out. She says, yeah, you know what, Doc, when I look in the mirror, I say, damn, I look good. And it was just, with the way that she said it, it was just so authentic. And, when I talk to people and they say something like, oh man, you're looking really good these days, Doc, I just say, damn, I feel good. Right. For me, it's just about, oh my God, I feel so good. I don't ever want to give this up now.
And, I think what's so great that I see with Ideal Pro, and you're right. I think a lot of clients, not every client that hits that, but, and it's look and feel, because I think it might not look like when you were in your 20s, you might be at the same weight, but it's the vitality, it's the metabolism reset, it's the aliveness, and
Yeah.
this connection to food being serving you rather than fighting food, and just being relaxed. I mean, I remember walking down the street after I lost 40 pounds, and I was like smiling at people.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, I'm just seeing people. Normally I saw the size of their butt, or like I was just judging. I didn't know I was doing that, but I had this space to just smile and walk down the street and not be in this internal conversation about who's bigger than me, smaller than me, da da da. And I didn't even know I was doing that.
Yep.
So shallow, but it's, I think people can hear it. It's this. So yeah, I think it just, again, in diet culture, because although we're a protocol, we are in the diet world, and it's important to not fall into all these photoshopped images out there and trying to look a particular way. We do have some teen clients, and it's important that body image and what does "damn I look good" really mean. And I think it's why it's in quotation marks. It's an expression for truly how your cells feel, not meeting a magazine image. It's so exciting. I love it. It's just so thrilling, and clients can hear that and they want that. That's what they came for.
Yeah, it's neat because it kind of goes along with that mentality of, next level. What is next level? And I wanted to try to use this to inspire our clients as we get going through the holiday season, with the idea that in coaching clients through the holiday season, how about we do something a little bit different this year? Instead of gaining and re-losing the same 10 to 15 pounds that North Americans tend to put on during the holiday season, starting January off feeling terrible again, carrying around this weight. Yes, phase 1 works. It's a beautiful thing. And yes, it will come off. But how about this year, especially since circumstances are going to be so different? How about we take this year, keep things somewhat reined in, keep our holiday weight gain to 5 pounds or less, so that when you do your tune-up in January, that's the first week or two. And after that, you're exploring a level you might not have thought that you could explore. And that's what I ended up doing a couple years ago. It was kind of like, when I made it through that holiday season, and I was very happy about the way that I didn't give in to my sugar addiction again, I said, okay, what's possible? Let's drop another 10. Let's see how that feels. I'm doing triathlon now. I want to race at a lower weight. I know that I still have plenty of room for improvement, because I will go ahead on record and say I pulled up at comfortable.
Yeah.
I set my goal at a place where I actually shoulda, woulda gone another 10, 15 pounds, but I was comfortable. I was ecstatic is really what I was at the time.
Yeah.
And I needed to get this clinic going. So, after living a few years between comfortable and uncomfortable over the holidays, it struck me, hey, let's go for happy.
So good. Yeah, I know we do a bit of visualization with the clients. How has December 31st, January 1 felt for you in the past? And sometimes there's those harsh, this year is going to be this way. And it's all a reaction to having perhaps let yourself go. And it's these extreme swings. And how could we find more of a, we don't want to be dead in one spot. We want to move around. But, what if you were already losing weight? For those already on protocol, what if you were just losing weight walking into January 1? And how, paint the picture. How do you want it to look? It's exciting. And, like you said, if you stop at comfortable, it's like, look, at any time you can do 6 weeks of phase 1 and lose another 10. The tool is yours. We're Ideal Protein is going to be with you for a while.
Yeah. And again, everybody's journey is different, right? There may be some pauses. There may be some stops and starts. Right. So the other thing too that we had talked about was I've got a second name for this top level, and that is nothing tastes as good as this feels.
Yeah. When you're in that place, that makes sense. When you're in miserable, that sentence doesn't resonate, right? It's like, what are you talking about? This chocolate cake feels, or these chips feel damn, or I shouldn't be, you feel so good. I've been in both places, which is great, right?
And
But
it's true, right?
you have a choice. Where do and to have a choice, often you need to not just make a small change, you need to interrupt it with the 3-week phase 1 to just reset that your taste buds, everything, and just get back on track. I think people will want this. You'll have to figure out how to email this to people or get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep working on it. But yeah, but like I said, I think it's just a really neat visual that might give people the idea that, maybe there is a next level. And, maybe it is that, if, like you said, to use it as a tool, not just for that initial weight loss, but for continuous tweaking and improvements.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. So good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Zan. I've taken up a lot of your time, and I do appreciate every single minute. We've got some fantastic coaching insights from you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to talking with you in the future. And again, one of the best personal things for me is the people that I meet and the friends that I make in doing this. I will visit Vancouver at some point. It is on my list.
Well, you're doing some great work here. I know you just do it out of your own free time, or quote unquote free time. It's so
Right.
good. I've got my staff listening to some of your podcasts as paid time. I've sent it out to clients. It's great. It's a really great tool that can really make a difference. When you hear someone else say it in a different way, we've got so many great tools from Ideal Protein, and then with you doing this, I'm so delighted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's why I do this. And when you told me that you made your coaches watch the episode that I did with Dolores,
yeah.
And that was really my goal for that episode was truly to have clinics do that. So thank you so much. And we will talk a little bit later on.
All right. Bye.
All right. Well, we're bringing this in for a landing today. For those of you, I'm wearing my Masters green shirt today in honor of the Masters going off right now in November, which is thrilling for me. I hope the stripes aren't giving people all kinds of issues and seizures and things. I didn't understand that the camera might do that. Thank you for being with us. If you enjoyed this episode, like it, share it, subscribe to us, spread the word about Life Possible and Ideal Protein. The upcoming weeks, as far as scheduling goes, I realize that 2 weeks from now is going to be Thanksgiving, and not going to be filming a show from the table in my house. So instead, we are going to do another episode next week. I've been scrambling, and I am super, super excited for the show that we're going to be able to put together for you next week. It's actually going to be our first annual Thanksgiving show. And who better to be my guest than Sarah Malero? So excited to have Sarah on our show. She's been on my list of guests that I've wanted to have. She was an amazing transformation and has just an incredible story of losing well over 300 pounds doing Ideal Protein. But she also has such a gift in the kitchen, and she's got some really, really fantastic ideas and recipes for Thanksgiving. You are not going to want to miss this, especially if you're in phase 1. Sarah and I are going to go through some of her favorite recipes that she does a road show for the clinics that she supports in her area and teaches them these Thanksgiving recipes. These recipes will be available for you after and during the show so that you might be able to put them into play the following week. So thank you everyone for coming. And until then, keep living life possible.